Hey, what's up, guys? It is Rapmark here. So, and going down the list, we are now doing Evil Dead Rise, the review. So, once again, I had to see this twice, and honestly, it did work out in that respect. I did enjoy this one. This one was really fun. So I remember the last Evil Dead came out like 10 years ago, 2013, and I didn't like it, but I also was just like, this isn't, Evil Dead. This is something else, and I don't know. I was very self-righteous and sort of a purist about it. Um, but after seeing this, I might have to just give that one another check just to see, because I don't really remember it that well. I toned it out in my sort of just not liking it, which is unfortunate because I've seen a lot of movies in that time, and just yeah, after seeing this, I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I gave it a little too much of a hard rap that was undeserved. Because again, most of these movies they've come out within 10 years of each other, and so it's one of those things where I don't know. Maybe I was just young and dumb. But this one I absolutely loved. I loved the practical effects they used. I liked the special effects they used. Let's see, I mean, the music was good. The imagery was good. The acting. So I think the acting was okay. No one really like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like, oh, look at this person. It just was, it was all right. It carried the script, with the exception of like the main Deadite lady, who is played by Alyssa Sutherland. So yeah, what else? The pacing. So I'm gonna say this right up front. Like the first like whole act of this thing, it's creepy, it's oppressive, it's scary, and I'm just like, this is great. I was totally a fan, on board. And then there's a period of like 20 or 30 minutes in the middle of the movie where things kind of just really slow down, like to an unfortunate, for me at least, an unfortunately like painful degree, where it's just nothing much happens, and I did find myself getting a little bit bored through it. And then after that, though, it picked up the pace, but it's just like, come on, like I wanted to hold on to that feeling that I had in the first act, and I did eventually get it in the third act, but I mean, I had to ramp up again to get there. So I don't know. We'll talk that about more in spoilers. Uh, but yeah, I had this. This movie did not have like a lot of. It had some camp, and we'll get into that in spoilers. But this one was like far more aggressive, just brutal, bloody, and man, you are just. It is unrelenting. Um, I wouldn't say it's scary per se. I mean, it does have its moments, but I mean, it's just mostly just an oppressive, like hopeless atmosphere, and you really do feel that. And I actually really enjoy that kind of thing, because I mean, I enjoy my slasher here and there. I've done the Halloween films on this channel, I believe. I've done reviews for them, and I can do a good slasher, jump scares, whatever. But I mean, it's kind of like eating candy, it'll fill you up, but it won't really do much for you. Um, whereas ones like, Japanese horror, that is creepy, that is scary, uh, it is also impressive, and I don't know, this one just had the more like really dark, foreboding, like just yeah, it was, and I love that feeling. I love the feeling of like actually like kind of like what's next. And if it wasn't for that lull in the middle of it, I probably would have given this like a nine, an eight or a nine. This was that good. Um, yeah, so we have Lee Cronin, who both wrote and directed it. So what did he do? He did Hole in the Ground. So I don't think I've ever seen that one. Seems to be a supernatural horror film. Yeah, I've never seen it, but yeah, this is his second like feature film. He's done it. Looks like four short films, and then a couple episodes for a couple of shows on television. So yeah, I mean honestly, I think he did a good job, and obviously audiences I think did as well, because this thing has really high scores on like Rotten Tomatoes. It is sitting at like 84% at this point. Average rate is about 7 out of 10. So I mean that's really good. I mean if you go by my scale, which is, that is highly above average, and yeah, so but yeah, so it was made at a budget of like 15 to 19 million. It made almost 10 times that at 146 million. So this is the highest grossing movie of the franchise. People did enjoy this movie. And while I don't think it's in theaters anymore, unfortunately, it might be in a few, especially if you're like in a small town or like dollar theaters. So take that with what it's worth. But yeah, this is definitely worth a watch. When it definitely comes on streaming, you should definitely go see it. Because this is really good. Like I don't regret seeing it. I'm glad I actually saw it. I wish I liked it more. Um, but I mean, with the exception of a couple big things, which I'll get to in spoilers again. I mean, the one, the break in the middle, and I'll get into the other one in a minute in spoilers. Aside from that, though, like this one was excellent. It was a good watch. I enjoyed it. I think the casting was fine, but Alyssa Sutherland, I think she knocked it out of the park. So that's I think all I have to say on this one. So we're gonna go ahead and get into spoilers, the breakdown, and all that good stuff. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys then. See ya. Hey, what's up, guys? It is Rapmark here. So, here with the breakdown and spoilers for the movie. So, let me just say this movie does something that, if it's done right, really adds to it. And in this case, it really added to it. If it's done wrong, it can destroy a movie. But so it goes non-linearly. So, you have the first scene, which is actually really great. So you have, Teresa, Jessica, and Jessica's boyfriend. They are at a lakeside cabin, and I think more people are coming, but whatever. So Jessica's kind of ill, and gets it gets super creepy. She starts reading the book as and I forget what book it is, whatever. But she starts reading it as she's lying there, just with her face in the pillows, facing away, and so her cousin is just like asking if she's okay. And then she goes into convolutions, and she's laying dead on the floor. So she sees that she's okay, and then Jessica just grabs her by the neck, and then grabs her ponytail, wraps it around her finger, and then just rips rips her scalp right off, or at least a part of her scalp. And it's just like, whoa, that's how we're starting this. Okay. Uh, and then she goes out into the dock where her boyfriend is like doing this drone. And, it goes into her face, and she falls into the water, and Caleb goes to go save her. He doesn't realize what's going on. And Teresa is just like, no, don't do it. And she freaking drags him to the bottom and just rips his head off and throws it onto the dock. And Teresa's just sitting there with her freaking part of her scalp missing. And then Jessica is just like floating, like she's out of the water, she's just floating there. And yeah, that's the opening scene. And I'm just like, all right, let's do this. So then we go one day earlier, and I'm just like, what's this? So anyway, so we have Beth, who finds out that she's pregnant. So she goes to visit her sister Ellie, who has 3 kids, and they live at what essentially you find out is a condemned Los Angeles apartment complex that was built upon a bank or something. So anyway, and honestly, props to, once again, Alyssa Sutherland. So in this movie, she essentially plays a loving mother, a troubled sibling, a psychopathic demon, a deadite, and she just, you see all of these throughout the film. Like, she just goes into character. So honestly, props to her. She knocked this out of the park. And honestly, if there's a standout actor, and there really isn't, most of the other ones, they're a little bland. It's not bad. It's fine, but no one really stood out except for her. So we're gonna go for that. So once again, they talk, and you just get a whole spiel of that. So moving along, we get to there's an earthquake that sort of breaks open the flooring of the parking lot, and the 2 older kids go and check it out, and then the older one, Danny, or not, I don't know if he's older. I can't remember if they're twins or if one's older than the other. But anyway, Danny, he grabs essentially what is a book and some file that contains several records, vinyl records, which we get to later. And then they go up. and he starts listening to the records. But I mean, first let's get into the book. So the Necronomicon. So you have there are three. It is revealed there are three volumes of this book, which is officially called Naturum de Monto. So anyway, while listening to this, you hear this priest. He wants to get it. The church says no, so he's going to do it on his own. And then you go through the second one, and you find out that he's doing the studies, and then he does an incantation which summons the deadites to life, and it attacks the mom. She's doing laundry, and she's going up an elevator, and then the elevator attacks her. And so for any of those who get the whole Evil Dead franchise, I'm wondering if that scene, just because it looks really like kind of with her wrists and neck and everything being wrapped up. I wonder if that is sort of like an homage to the rapist tree in the very first Evil Dead, because I was told that something referenced that in this movie, and I'm wondering if that's what it was. So if anyone knows, go ahead and let me know in the comments. It's fine. That's just what I took from it. Yeah, and so she gets possessed. But let me go back a little bit. So the book itself, it has these teeth. Doesn't no discernible keyhole or anything to open it. He tries to open it. It pricks him, cuts his finger, and then there's blood. And then with the blood, the book opens up. And then as he's listening to the incantation, the book actually starts to go page for page or page as these things are being released. And yeah, so Ellie comes in. She is in a trance, and so she's not, I guess she's not dead yet, because apparently how it's sort of establishing these things is it possesses you through some sort of cut or opening in your skin, followed by direct contact, and then you don't die right away. You're possessed and you get infected, but it eventually does kill you, or you end up killing yourself because you become neurotic at that point. And then at that point the demon just fully takes over, like you were just a walking shell possessed by a demon. So anyway, we go into she threatens her family, attacks them. They knock her down, and she sort of comes out of it for a little bit after pleading to Beth to protect her family, and then she dies. And then they put her in the bedroom, and it's kind of creepy because as she's laying, like, her eyes are open. It looks super, super creepy and dark. But then there's a point where it's just like she blinks, and it's just like, it's one of those things where I guess she saw it but doesn't know she saw it, or maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, that's the start of the full-on possession. And honestly, I'll tell you like right now, almost everybody in this movie dies. It is absolutely crazy. They were not gentle with anything. There was no like whole love like triumphs over all stuff like that. No, this thing was brutal. Like I'll get into like the full thing of it, but yeah, there are only two people that survive this movie. Uh, so yeah. Anyway, they can't get out. So they're on the 17th floor of this building. The stairway has collapsed. The elevator's obviously jacked up. You find out later that the doors were jammed with the key, and that's what's preventing them from fully opening, closing. And they can't escape a fire escape because it is in an abandoned apartment that is locked and they can't get out. So anyway, Ellie, she revives and she attacks the family. She wounds both Beth and Brit, and this is like, again, creepy as hell. There's like, she's holding, like, she has Bridget down and she's like holding this needle. She's a tattoo artist, so it's a tattoo needle. As like, you think it's gonna go into her eye, but no, she gets in the cheek and she cuts her in the cheek. She also takes like a. Was that then or? At some point, she has like a cheese grater and she freaking mauls Beth's leg with it. So, like, again, the effects they did in here and the attack, like, mwah, it was beautiful. I loved it. So anyway, after that, they do end up locking Ellie out. And what essentially happens after that is the neighbors come out. They try to do something. They have no idea what's coming out. She attacks, and here's where some campiness comes from. But I was fine with it. Like she attacks one of the neighbor boys, eats his eye out, and just like ah. And then his younger brother comes out and is like, "What the hell?" And she spits it out in his throat, and it just chokes him. Like it's just, yeah. There's some insane kills. There's some really campy kills, but it wasn't like comedic campy. It was just like, this is really out there, but I'm gonna roll with it because it's actually really interesting to watch, in my opinion. But yeah, she kills everyone. But then here's where it kind of gets dumb. And this is where the like 20, 30-minute space in the movie where like, ugh, bless me. Where after all this high-paced stuff happens, you go into this lull. And I don't know if like it was a breath or give the audiences a breath or whatever. For me, I think it would have worked better if it was shorter. I mean, as it was, again, 20, 30 minutes, like there was a point in it where I actually did start to get bored, and I actually looked at my phone to see like how long into the movie we were in on this. And yeah, it's nothing. Like it's a bunch of her like Ellie like possessed Ellie, talking through the doorway, singing. They're talking, and then Bridget, she goes into the bathroom because she's coughing, and she starts coughing up bugs, like so she is infected. essentially, and she is going to die and become a deadite. And when they and then she talks to, what is his name? The brother. It is Danny. So she talks to Danny about what he found. So she's going to listen to that. So, okay, so hold on. I've lost my spot. All right. But yeah, so anyway, Bridget, they find her in the kitchen. She's, crouched up like a cat on the counter, and she is eating glass. So at this point, she is in neurosis mode. There's no going back, and the glass, yeah, is probably gonna, it kills her. Like, actually, no, it doesn't. But she's clearly possessed, and that is that. She attacks the family, and the small girl, Cassie, impales her with a broken broom handle. And yeah, that obviously kills her. And just to be sure, Danny like ties her to the bed with sheets over her. And he's just like, just in case. Good call, Danny. Good call. I mean, it was a good call. It didn't work, but it was a good call. So props to that, being smart. And then something dumb happens, which I was just like, why? Why would you do that? So after seeing her mom do all these bad things and everything, Cassie looks out, and possessed Ellie is like, your daddy's here, even though he's off screen, and talking to her sweet and nice, and it's just like, you don't look so good, mommy. Well, it's nothing that a great big hug won't cure. Now go ahead and open the door. And she opens the door, and yeah, I don't know. I get horror movies are kind of driven by characters making dumb decisions, but there's with the way this movie was going, there was a better way to have done it, in my opinion. Maybe you disagree, but I don't know. I just think it made her out as a little too naive and stupid when she clearly shows that she is smart. At one point in the movie, she's just like, "You're gonna make a good mommy because you're really good at lying to lying to children." It's just like, come on. I get what you're trying to do, but I just don't think you executed it effectively in that spot, for me at least. So, anyway, Danny and Beth eventually end up rescuing Cassie and locking Ellie out again. Ellie does become possessed. Or Bridget does end up becoming possessed. Oh, okay. So yeah, all that was essentially one thing. Sorry, guys. So Beth listens to the final record to see what it is, and I guess there were more records to that, or maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, essentially, like it talks about the priests that were doing that. All of his companions became infected. There was nothing he could do but run, and he ended up just like having to destroy like his companions to actually get rid of them, because that's how you destroy the Deadites. Like, again, you've seen them. If you decapitate them, lop off an arm, whatever, they just come back. You literally have to destroy their host bodies into literally just like nothing. So anyway, Bridget revives, and she actually stabs Danny. He is fatally wounded, and he becomes He sets Bridget on fire though, and then he dies, and it's literally just Beth and Cassie at this point. And yeah, for those, they're the only two people in this movie who survive. Everyone else brutally dies and becomes a deadite. So anyway, Ellie, she infiltrates it because the cats use the vents to go through and everywhere, and she decides, oh, I'll use the vents. So she breaks in through the vents, and then it attacks them. She realizes Beth is pregnant, so she tries to rip the fetus out, but both Beth and Cassie pin her down with scissors. And then they get out of the apartment. They're going to go down to the elevator because they have no other choice. Like, it's the only working thing to actually get them out of this floor that they're at. So everyone who's dead at this point becomes a deadite. So they go into the elevator. And then all of the dead bodies, they merge, and they into a creature known as the Marauder, which is shown in the book as this amalgamation of all these dead bodies, and it's just crazy. So it climbs atop the elevator, and the elevator fills with blood as it starts to go down. And with all the blood and this creature on top of the elevator, it goes down, it plummets to the floor, and then blood, like it was literally like a very Shining moment. If you've seen the movie Shining, like, you'll get it, because that was, yeah, blood everywhere. They're all covered in blood, and so they have to escape. The door, like, again, this is a condemned thing. The door is really shitty. You gotta have to be close or get a special thing. Sometimes it doesn't always pick it up. But anyway, they do get it to go open. Beth goes through, gets Cassie through, Cassie's coming under, but then she gets grabbed and pulled under, and then the Marauder is gonna, like, essentially try to kill her with a chainsaw, and then turn her into a deadite. But Beth is just like, nope, I gotta save her. So she goes in and attacks the Marauder. There's a chainsaw where she freaking just mauls it with this chainsaw, and then turns on a wood chipper, and the whole body goes in, and all that's left is the head, and it taunts her, saying she's going to be a failure as a mother and all that. And she kicks Ellie's head into the chipper, and that's it. There's nothing. So Beth and Cassie escape the building together. So you're wondering, so where did the first scene come from? So after the initial credits, like, no, I think it's not quite the credit scene. Is it a credit scene? Oh man, I've forgotten already. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, anyway, after the movie, it goes into the scene where Jessica goes into the parking lot to go on her vacation, and she sees the carnage of the night. The wood chipper's still on. There's blood everywhere, and she's just like, what the hell? And then the Deadites come and they attack her, and that's how she got possessed. So there you go. And apparently, yes, Bruce Campbell did do a cameo in this. It was a voice only, where he is an unnamed character who forewarns the priest to the dangers of the demon resurrection ritual. And the writer-director stated that Campbell's voice was in this role intentionally, stating that he considers it to be a time-displaced Ash Williams. So, sweet. I mean, I know he said before he doesn't want to do that anymore. He wants to pass it on to the next generation and stuff like that. But I'm glad he is still involved, and still will do some cameos, and references to Ash Williams, where it's just like, yeah, because I love the original three. But I will say this movie was amazing. This is a worthy entry into the Evil Dead franchise. Um, yeah, and so yeah, that's why I ended up giving it a 7. This was very above average. And yeah, I can't wait to see what's next. Cause I mean, again, this movie made buku bucks. This is the most highest grossing Evil Dead movie that's ever been made, and they are currently talking about it, from what I see. In fact, doing it every 2 or 3 years rather than 10 years, from what we're going on. So, and they have an overall like Bible to the franchise to sort of show where it's gonna go. Writers and directors. So that's gonna be cool. So anyway, I think that is it for this. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.